Welcome to the Noodle Podcast. We are Kate and Max, and we love noodling on what we've learned by accident. This podcast is a space where we share how to get the best out of ourselves and the people we've worked with. In today's episode, we talk about what happens to your brain when you're multitasking. Hint, it's not good. And how to make meetings interesting. Yes, really. And finally, the benefits of using humour, not humiliation, to get people to focus when their attention is divided. Good morning.
Morning.
This is very exciting. This is our first episode of our second series of the story of the accidental manager. We've had a bit of a break, and we'll probably be coming back to that as a topic. What does a break mean? What does it give you?
Yes.
What have we learnt while we've not been podcasting?
Mm-hmm.
But today we're going to talk about multitasking.
Or a lack of focus.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what have we experienced since we last did a podcast?
We've been really busy, haven't we?
We have been.
I mean, work and life and everything.
Yeah, I know you can't see it on the podcast, but I think the bags under my eyes guarantee that it's definitely been busy.
Really, really busy. Things have ramped up. And with that, I think we're quite good at keeping each other in check and saying, do you really need to be doing that stuff? When you're in the thick of it, it can feel like no one else can do this. It's all on me. Carrying everything, family-wise, work-wise. We both, we run our business and we have other businesses as well. So as entrepreneurs, there's quite a lot riding on us being on the ball, doing everything.
Yes. Which can mean that there's a lot of lists everywhere, and that every moment where you may not feel like you're getting value out of something, that you start to switch to think, I could be using this time in another way. And I think we've started to notice it in other people as well, haven't we? So I think that's the thing we want to talk about today, is multitasking.
Yeah. And it's very obvious to us when people believe that they're being efficient by doing a bunch of things at the same time, and we can see they're absolutely missing stuff. And there's this myth that people can multitask if they're highly efficient. But do you want to say about the stat? Is it?
It's our friend Mr. Rock, David Rock, yes, who talks a lot about neuroscience, or the data that's now coming through in neuroscience that shows us what we kind of instinctively knew, which is that you're not very good when you're multitasking. I mean, apart from obviously if you're doing very simple things. But as soon as you start to do anything sophisticated, trying to multitask reduces somebody who's probably at the IQ level of a Harvard graduate down to an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So it's a massive drop.
So switching tasks and trying to do them all at the same time literally shrinks your brain.
Yeah.
Your brain cells cannot cope. And so you just go into being Mr. or Mrs. inefficient.
Yes.
And you're kidding yourself if you're operating at that, kind of, what's it called? Concurrent work rather than consecutive work.
Yes.
So I'm a big fan of time blocking. Okay, I'm going to do this for whatever, 10, 15 minutes. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. At the end of the hour, I will have got all of those things done. But I know that if I'm not switching too quickly between tasks, I've got a chance to get in, do the thing, checking emails. I'm just going to do that. Then I'm going to move into planning for the day. Then I'm going to move into something else.
But it's not just the efficiency of what you're doing or trying to reduce the strain on your brain, because there's loads of stuff out there that tells us that now, isn't it? It's also the impact on other people that we think is important.
Yeah. So we facilitate quite a lot of online meetings and workshops, and almost everyone anyone who's managing people is now in that space having to do that. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Or even if you are managing a meeting in person, actually, what happens when people are not completely focused on being in the room?
Yes.
Physically or metaphorically.
Yeah. I mean, it's exaggerated where people are in online meetings. So it's easy that you could just do a little cheeky email or just check my little social media or whatever. But it has an impact because you start to notice that people are not attending to what's needed. And that affects the whole group.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were in person, you wouldn't suddenly flick your laptop open, bang out a few emails, then slap it back down again.
I don't know. I think there are some people who do that. And I wonder if there's something about the message that they feel they need to give by doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've rocked up to your meeting, but actually I've got very important clients I need to be giving attention to.
Mm.
And what we would like to encourage people to do is think about, where are you not making a choice by doing that? By doing everything, and actually the message that you're giving is, I've got someone who's more important that I'm emailing right now, rather than listening to you. Or everyone else has given up their time, but I can't do that because I'm so important. There's something about respect,
yes,
as well as what are you saying about you, and choice. So when we've been running sessions for, there's a company that we're working with who were wanting to do a deep dive on their employee opinion survey. What's really going on here? People are not that happy, right? So, and yeah, we just got them to talk a little bit more about what was going on there. The amount of meetings that people were going to was really affecting their productivity and their ability to feel good about what they were doing. Nobody was getting stuck into anything, were they? And so they were saying, actually, we're going to have to make choices. We're going to have to say no. Certain meetings, things that don't actually involve me or I'm representing the team, but there's no actions for us. We're going to have to start saying no to that stuff. And when that becomes a way of agreeing with each other, I'm going to say no and this is why. People are much more likely to say, okay, I respect that choice.
Yeah. The tough one is calling people out when they do it in the meeting, though. And it's really hard because I also know that you could assume that if you're making eye contact that you've got somebody's attention, but I think that's not necessarily the case because my brain can definitely be running on something that happened to me earlier today. So the first bit is making sure that when you're working with people that they're in the room.
Yeah.
And there's something about, if you are a manager working with a team of people, how do you help people to check in? We call it checking in, don't we? But how do you make sure that even if you did accidentally run over a cat on the way in, sorry, apologies, I have got a cat, it's a dreadful thing to say, but still, if you did accidentally, that you're distracted by other things. It's just a metaphor.
I know, it is making me think about the time I hit a cat by accident. No, I can't concentrate on what you're saying.
So there you go. But if you share at the beginning of a meeting, not all of the detail, but just, I'm a bit distracted, there's some stuff going on at home, but now I'm here, I'm fully present. That's really helpful just to get everybody focused. So you're not necessarily multitasking, you're trying to do different things, but psychologically you might be multitasking where you're thinking about something else. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, make your meetings interesting.
How?
Well, for a start, you need to be really clear before you start the meeting. What's the point? Why are we getting together? Why have you been invited? And what are we going to try and achieve together? Because if it's just a download, you might as well just record yourself and send a video. What's the point in anybody else attending? At least then they can choose when they want to do it.
Yeah. So something you'd said before about it's difficult to call it out.
Yes.
So make the environment right. Allow people to go, not everything that happened this morning before they came into this session. No, but just a little bit of blah, 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 and I'm here. And that's helpful, isn't it? Doesn't have to take forever. But calling people out is interesting. And it depends on how well you know them. Maybe they're a lot more senior than you. But I did it quite recently on an online session. I could see somebody was in a meeting room with various other people and had opened up their laptop. So they were literally in person doing something that wasn't what we were doing. And for everybody else who dialed in from around the world, they could see that he was doing this other thing. So I did call it out.
How did that
go? Well, he had a huff.
Well, he
and
got
the next
spotted.
thing I saw was his back as he left the room. But I actually felt a sense of relief. I'm now not having to work hard to compete with, I don't even know what's going on here. Everyone else who has made the time and the headspace to focus on this thing, which was for their benefit, can now just get on with it. I was a little bit like, oh no, what am I going to do about him? But, he made a choice. And I think that's the thing. Choose, yes, I'm going to focus on this. And no, I'm not going to focus on this other stuff till afterwards. Or no, I'm not going to come because I'm going to be too distracted and it's going to be irritating.
Oh, here's a crazy idea. Here's the compromise. I can't be here for the whole hour, which is the best bit that I could be here for, so that you can get what you need from me and I can give you what I think's helpful and then go, if that's really the case.
Yeah. Again, and that shows respect, doesn't it? I have this thing on. I'm going to explain to you people. I hope that's okay. Do we have permission? Yes, all good.
Yes. I've done it as well. Obviously, I'm a little bit naughty in that I just try and catch people out by cracking jokes to see whether they're paying attention or not. And I remember running a session with a group, and same thing, I cracked a joke. This person didn't laugh, and they were quite a lively character.
But what was your joke?
Oh, no. No idea. No idea. You know, it wasn't the quality of the joke.
Oh,
no,
okay,
honestly.
fine.
No.
Just so long as, right. No, you were funny.
I was funny.
No,
definitely funny.
Right.
Definitely funny. And then the second time it happened, and this person still didn't laugh. And so then I called them out on it.
Why aren't you laughing at me?
Yes, exactly. And it said their name and said, and of course, so-and-so, you know, I see you're struggling with my humour this morning. At which point, obviously, they were very embarrassed in front of the group. Now, it's not easy, is it? And you've got to really gauge that well as to the degree to which you call people out in front of others, because it can be humiliating and that's not the intent. Thankfully, this person was quite a lively character. They took it on board and actually went the opposite way. And from then onwards, they were super attentive, apologised for the fact that they were attempting, shut that stuff down, completely focused, because they didn't want that to happen again. So
it's hard because you don't want to be like a teacher telling someone off and showing them up.
No.
But at the same time, I think you're doing them a service in a way to say, you spend your time here being mindful.
Yeah.
You can only get out of this what you put in. You can only put stuff in if your attention is as undivided as possible. I wondered about whether we sometimes fall into the trap of saying we are really good at multitasking because we do it.
What, you mean as women, you mean?
Possibly, yes. As women, typically, you find, well, certainly in the past, you know, women are better at multitasking.
Blah, blah.
Yeah. Are they? No. Their brains shrink as well when they're too busy and too stressed.
Yeah.
It's just often that task of booking the car in for a service and making the packed lunches and getting everybody's teeth cleaned before doing a day's work falls to a certain person, and often it's women. I think younger people think they can multitask better because they're so used to operating with text and writing and so on. You hear it in lectures or, you know, if they're at school, whatever. You can encourage them to turn off their phone. And I've known some of them get quite insulted. Some people are saying, I can do this, I do this.
Yes.
So,
but the neuroscience shows that
they can't. So I like to encourage them to see what happens if they don't do that.
Yes.
And we tend to pretty much always find people go, actually, I did learn a lot more by doing that.
And now, more than ever, I think that when you do come together as a group of people, so whether you're responsible for somebody because you're their manager, responsible for a group of people because you're their manager, you know, or whether you're the person participating, coming together is time well spent if you make an effort on how you do the time well spent. Because if it's just being there to listen to someone broadcasting, not great use. If it's just there for everyone to update, not a lot of use either. You know, that daisy chain of updates where slowly you watch everybody slide. You know, another one of our recommendations, David Pearl, is, you know, the Will There Be Donuts book on meetings, to make sure that you make it exciting rather than are we nearly meeting rather than really meeting.
Yes, that book is really good because he talks about 7 different types of meeting, some of which might be you're going to get a download. You know, you're going to hear something from, you know, whoever is most senior who needs to share this with everybody at the same time. Sometimes that is the case, but if you signpost it as that, yes, it might be for information, it might be to get agreement, it might be to really work through something that's very difficult. In fact, we're going to talk about that in our next podcast, is the danger of running too quickly into something without pulling back first of all. But this sort of signposting, why are we here? What's the expectation on you? Make a personal a deal with yourself. I'm going to go to this and I'm going to get out of it, or I'm going to give to it X, Y, or Z. I'm feeling very zen talking about this, and I really
yes.
don't practice it very much.
It's that calling yourself back in the room. It's noticing when you flick out, though, isn't it? Because it's like, if you're well intended, right, this is the focus and this is what we're here to do, and then it wanes. Of course it wanes. And therefore, how do you notice that you've just drifted and get yourself back into the moment, whether it's with one person, with a group of people?
Yes.
Don't half task.
Yes. Yeah, which is what you have to be doing by splitting your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So think about your own reputation, how many signals you'll be giving to other people about how important they are to you if you give them your full attention. Or even a task, if it's worth doing, really give it some focus and then move on to the next thing.
And I think in terms of noodles that help with this, I mean, we've already talked in the past about authority, presence, impact being something that's really important. But I think trust starts to come into this. How do you build the trust equation?
Yes.
Build great relationships with others.
Yeah. Showing that you understand what's important to them makes other people trust you more. And to do that, you need to listen. You need to be with them and not making them feel like something else is more important and deserving of your attention.
So listening skills.
Listening skills.
4 levels of listening.
I think Big Rocks, because some of this is about time management, and Big Rocks is a really good way to help you make those decisions. Why am I spending my time doing this? How will it help me achieve my overall objectives or goals for the day or the week or the month?
And I'd say the last one for me, the simple rules, because I know when I get into a certain thought space that I've lost my attention, my focus, and I need to come back in the room. So what's your own simple rules for knowing you're distracted and you're not focused?
Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay,
thanks for that. I'm going to go off and carry on feeling zen before I look at my 20 things to do in the next hour. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please join us online for chat at noodle.space. See daily ideas on Instagram at noodle_space. And see this episode's blurb to find out more about the books and noodles we've mentioned. Don't forget to subscribe, share, or leave us a review. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.